watching a show on TV where it was 5 white GMs talking about a league that's 95% black. And from that moment on, I was like, I'm going to become an executive or a GM on the team.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to League Biz, and I'm your host, Dennis Boateng. And this is a podcast where we talk about the business of basketball beyond the four corners of the hardwood. And here today, I have some playmakers, that being Pops and Cam. And look, if you love the game of basketball and you want to impact it in a different way, I think that you should stay tuned in. What's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Good.
Appreciate you having us.
Man, look, it's a pleasure. As you guys know, the game of basketball is global, you know, and a lot of people want to wear the jerseys, right? A lot of people want the lights and everything, but I think that we all know here, as you guys have had the experience already, that there's work beyond just being on the court wearing the jersey. There's that work that goes behind the scenes. There's a lot of moving things that's happening, and that's why you guys are here. Pops,
talk to me.
Look, man, I've known you for a little bit now, and I met you a few years ago when you were with the Wizards.
Yes, sir. Yes,
right?
Sir.
And now you're doing it bigger. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad to be able to call you a brother of mine because we also have the Ghanaian roots there,
yes,
right?
We do.
That's very important. And also to Cam, it's dope that you're here because, dude, what you're doing is so amazing, and I believe that it's very important for people to hear. So, without further ado, I would like to tell people what y'all do, but I think
go ahead.
I think that it's very important for y'all to tell people what y'all do because y'all can just kind of add that flavor in there, if you know what I mean. I want you guys to just hit them over the head with some confidence in what you do. Pops.
Well, yeah. You know, Pops Mensah-Bonsu, former NBA player, born and raised in London, England, of Ghanaian descent, like we said.
Yeah.
When I retired from playing, you know, athletes, I should say, often have this feeling of inadequacy, regardless of how much money they have in the bank. They have been so in tune with what they've been doing for so long that they try to find their path.
Yeah.
You know, luckily for me, that path was put right in front of me, or that purpose was laid right in front of me, and it was the front office. It was the front office where I worked for the Players Association for a year, where I worked closely on and off the court with, you know, all the NBA players. Then I transitioned over to the front office, where I realized I wanted to be the change maker that you were saying. I didn't see too many athletes on this side of the game, black athletes for sure, and I felt like everybody sees the NBA from a position that black men are thriving. But when you look at the leadership, it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And so from that moment on, I decided that I wanted to, you know, create my own path, be a trailblazer, and go the road less traveled on the executive side. So I worked for the Wizards for 2 years. I scouted with the Spurs for 2 years. And then I was GM for the Wizards G League expansion team. Did that for 2 years and then now I'm with the New York Knicks.
Hey, let's go. See, now that's why I wanted you to talk about what you do. You make it sound really good, way better than I could have. Now, Cam, what is it that you do?
Oh, that's a lot to follow up on. He gave me a lot. But my name's Cameron Patterson. I'm from the Bay Area, Oakland, California, born and raised. And I am currently an NBA certified agent and also work with NIL clients as well for disruptive sports. And we're based along the West Coast with people all up and down from Washington all the way down to the Los Angeles area. So kind of interspersed throughout there. Been doing with this for a couple of years now.
Man, Cam, I want you to tell people, how old are you?
I'm 24 years old. So
he looks every bit of 24.
Look, and when we first met out there, I said to him, I said, yeah, 25. He was like, hey, man, like, no, 24. Like,
don't age me up.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't age me up.
But I think that's very important for people to understand because a lot of times, people do put age to a certain accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their own timing. But I think it's important for people to know that you're a 24-year-old sports agent and one that's going to have an amazing future. I'm calling it right now. I think as I've had conversations with you, your temperament and just your focus and everything is really unmatched. I mean, Pops has been talking to you too, and I'm like, hey, look, I'm only 32, and I'm just seeing a young boy doing his thing, and I'm just like, dang, man, what was I doing when I was 24? Not this.
I appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying?
Do.
So that's amazing. What inspired you, man, to be even want to, be a sports agent at the age of 24?
Well, it's crazy. I truly didn't want to be a sports agent. That wasn't my path that I envisioned for myself when I first got here. But there was a visionary that looked and saw that within me when I got to Disruptive Sports. But I can kind of start on my path from the very beginning, kind of when I was really looking into what profession I wanted to get into. As a kid, I always used to play with Legos and I used to play with Home Depot sets, and I really like to work with my hands. I like to problem solve, critical think. So that made me think that engineering was my path. So a lot of people thought, yeah, you should be an engineer. That's really what you can do. You go make some good money, all that whole nine. And it was once that point that I started to really look into colleges for that. Okay, let me plan for that. Really start to apply to majors in industrial engineering and mechanical engineering and all of these different aspects of the engineering field. And I really started to get to that point once I got to UC Davis, where I did my undergrad. My freshman year, I was taking calculus, I was taking physics, I was taking chemistry, and these classes were kind of really difficult for me. And I was,
for anybody.
Look, I'm getting a headache just hearing you talking about it, man. But I'm going to ask this question to both of you guys, right? When did you know, like, as far as like for the game of basketball, that you was like, yo, this is, I want to stay involved in it? Of course, you played, but like you said, and there are times that players, when they're done, they're like, this was my identity, and it's ripped away from me for guys who are not mentally ready. When did the business switch come on?
Wow. I was watching a TV show. I was working at the NBA Players Association, and I was watching the show on TV. I guess I won't reference it here. Watching a show on TV where it was 5 white GMs talking about a league that's 95% black. And from that moment on, I was like, I'm going to become an executive or a GM and run a team, because I wanted to provide a mirror image of success in a different field to, a next generation of athletes or people in general, to show that there's another path, like you were stating. And, and it's funny because I used to work at the Wizards games, and I would always be in a suit when I was working at the PA. And people used to come up to me and ask me if I was the GM, because I guess of how, like me, my stature, what I was wearing and where I was standing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even work here. But when I saw more and more people doing it, it started to dawn on me that I looked the part.
Yes.
Even though not many other GMs look like me.
Yes.
So I was like, I started focusing in on it a little bit more. Knew I didn't want to get into coaching. And that's when I decided, I'm going to go, like I said, the road less traveled, where I'm going to, make an impact and blaze a trail for other athletes, for other people of color in this position, and break that glass ceiling.
Yeah. Now that's amazing. Karen, I want to ask you this. Was it hard for you, or was anybody telling you you're too young to enter this arena of business when it comes to the game of basketball? Because, we all know there's a lot of money involved, right? From a player side, from coaching, representing athletes, what they want to be paid. Now you become responsible. What, how do you handle that pressure? And do you feel like you are confident stepping into this role and responsibility?
Of course, I've got to be. I got to put on that confidence every day. I think I get the confidence from preparation. I prepare every day. I'm making sure that I'm up to date on everything, whether it's news-based, whether it's CBA or collective bargaining agreement. based, whether it's marketing based and the different trends and differences within the marketing world, especially as we look at NIL, name, image, and likeness. That's such a new field that we've never really seen, and we're still trying to understand. As being a year old, we don't really know where that field is going to go within the next year, within the next 2 years, 5, 10 years. So it's really trying to understand every day based on what is currently happening and trying to see what the future may hold. And so I try to prepare as much as possible and always show that preparation to whoever I'm speaking with so they can understand, okay, you are young, but you're also knowledgeable. You also know what you're talking about and you're capable.
Yeah. So it sounds like education is the key to preparation,
of course,
for the path that you're taking. That's a bar.
Can I speak to that too, though?
Yeah, for sure.
Because he makes a great point. I think, especially as in this industry where it's been dominated by, people other than, Black men or of our race, there was a time, and it still happens to this day, where they will find a reason to keep us at bay.
Yeah.
If it's Cam, they would say he's too young. If it was me, it was, as a former player, it was like, well, you don't have enough front office experience, or you don't have a master's degree.
Of course.
And somebody told me once that I may not have a master's degree, but I got a PhD in basketball.
Come on.
Yeah.
And I often tell, NBA players that who are transitioning that rely on the confidence, the preparation, the work that you put in as a player, and applying that to the front office or anything you do outside of the game is transferable.
Yeah.
You're able to, like, the impact that these athletes have on and off the court, they don't understand it until somebody empowers them to do it.
Yeah.
So I had to go through this and understand that, wow, my opinion, what I see, my lens is valuable. And then I learned how to use it. But when they try to keep us at bay, they couldn't deny the work that we had put in.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely profound what Cam was saying.
No, that's a very important point. I mean, we hear more and more people from players to execs and coaches speaking about this, or people who are trying to kick the door down, per se, because it's like, hey, we know what's going on too, and like you said, the PhD in basketball thing is very important. I want to ask a question to both of you guys. When was there a time where it's just like hard? Because obviously you guys' positions sound very sexy. Like it's like sports agent. Oh yeah, they're thinking like you get to hang out with players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Write checks. You take some. You know what I'm saying? And then for you, it's like, oh, he gets to be around players all the time. He gets to travel. But when is that time where you're just like, dang, this is hard, like, but I got to keep pushing? What is that time like?
Well, I could say almost every day. Every day is a new challenge. Every day is a new day. And you have to kind of battle your inner demons and tell you, sometimes you may have those voices in your head that tell you, am I going to be able to do this? Can I get through it? And so you always have to kind of keep that mindfulness and keep that self-confidence and self-esteem up to make sure, I got this.
Yeah.
I can do this on a daily basis. I can handle everything that it comes with this position. I can battle some of these other top agencies and top agents, because that's kind of the big thing is when you're not one of these top 5, 10 agencies, it can be really difficult to get a player. Yeah. And so that can always weigh on your head as an agent, is how am I going to be able to battle some of these top agents who have the top names and the top money and the top resources. I don't have all of those things. So that can always weigh on you a little bit.
Yeah.
So that can be something I struggle with, but I always got to come back to, no, I can do this and I have that ability to do it.
That's right. For you, Pops?
Yeah, like Cam said, it's daily.
Yeah.
It's daily. And, similar to when I was trying to make it to the NBA, I didn't know I was going to be an NBA player at 15. I started playing basketball late. And what's funny is, had I told anybody that I was going to make it to the NBA, they would have laughed. I would have laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I saw that window of opportunity and I kicked it open.
Yeah.
And pursued it. And it's the same on this side of the game. But I often revert back to my foundation.
Yeah.
And my why. Like, why do I play basketball? Why am I an executive? Why am I, going through this journey and this process to get to this level? It's because of the impact that I want to have.
That's right.
Again, being being born and raised in London and of Ghanaian descent, I always wanted to provide that mirror image of success to kids that look like me. And, growing up where I came from, you don't normally make it.
Yeah.
And so that's inspiration.
Yeah.
And I wanted kids to aspire to try and achieve something. So anytime I've wanted to quit, anytime I've wanted to take shortcuts, I always revert back to my why.
Yeah.
I always think about the people I do it for with the impact that I'm trying to make, and it just keeps me going. It's harder for me to quit than it is to
I love that.
keep going.
I mean, yeah, that's another bar right there. I mean, it's not facts because, even for me, just thinking about like my love for basketball, right? It was just one of those things where I started paying attention being a young kid, but I never thought about working in a front office or sports agent until later on, and seeing people or reading about people or even seeing movies. Like, hold on, that's a position. Like you could do that, But then that thing of having someone close to be able to like tell you like you can do it too is super important, right? Now, did you have that from a business standpoint? Because hey, with basketball, we know like somebody sees a tall kid, they're like, oh, you should be a basketball player. And to be, you know what, you could be an owner, a team owner. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like for you, who was somebody that saw that, man, look, Pops, like you could really impact a team in a different way? Wow. Was it before the league? Was it college career? You know what I'm saying? When was that for you?
I think there was two different instances where the validation came. And one was by my former employer, the Spurs. I didn't know I was sitting next to my future boss. And he was here at Summer League, and I'm networking, speaking, engaging with, my former teammates, coaches, agents, athletes, just being in that mix. And, fast forward to like a month or two later, I get a phone call. And, I was trying to come back out of retirement to play. And I saw the number and I knew it was the San Antonio number. And at 33, I knew they wasn't signing me to play with Tim Duncan. I know that.
Man.
So I didn't answer the phone because I wanted to go back to play.
Yeah.
Wow.
Blowing my phone up. Maybe the day before I was going to get on the plane back to Athens, I answer it. And it's the current GM of the San Antonio Spurs, Brian Wright. And he was like, I've been trying to reach you for a few days. Like, what's going on? We have a job for you.
Wow.
And like, I was mortified, but it was also a sign.
Yeah.
And seemingly a gift from God.
Yeah.
Because, he said he was sitting next to me that day and watched me interact with all these different people and was like, you could be a star.
Yeah.
You could be a star. I was a journeyman, and throughout my career, 5 teams in the NBA, another 8 or 9, 10 overseas. And people often look at that with a side eye, or they look down on it. To me, it's what makes me who I am today.
Yeah.
That journey, that process that I went through allows me to be a better executive.
Yeah.
And had I not gone through that process, I wouldn't have said hello to that coach. I wouldn't have spoke to that player in Serbian or Spanish or French, or whatever. But it's what allows me to be special, and it makes me unique in that regard.
Yeah.
And, that was one time I got validation. Then Purvis Short at the Players Association, he empowered me and poured into me the confidence and the inspiration to pursue this path, because he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. He was a visionary. And he told me, you're going to be a star just as long as you keep your head on straight, stay focused, and, don't let any obstacle prevent you from what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You should have answered that call the first time, bro.
Now I know. Yeah.
But what about you? Like, who was a person that saw like that gift in you that was like, hey, man, like, I think that you will make an impact here. And what was that like for you?
Of course. So Henry Organ, our co-founder and NFL agent for Disruptive Sports, he really saw it in me. He really saw that I had this passion for basketball and really understood that I could get work done. So for him, I was essentially like assistant when I was an intern. I was doing data research, so I was handling a lot of contract negotiation work with the statistics of our current other player that was going into free agency as well. So looking at their stats and also looking at comps for that player for previous years on what that type of player got on the market. So he really saw me work with those numbers and said, well, if you can do that for NFL, you can do this for basketball too, because basketball is actually truly what you love more than football is.
Yeah.
And if you can start this path into a new division, then we're really expanding disruptive as an entire agency. And so he saw that in me. I can't say that when he first told me that I was ready to all gung-ho to do it. I wasn't. It took me a minute. It took me some time to speak with other people within the industry on that path and what it looks like, as well as speaking with my family and my support system. And they were very positive, gave me positive reinforcement and said, we think you can do it as well. You're very talented. You're very intelligent. There's no reason that you couldn't be successful in this field.
Yeah. So just spoke life into... And that's very important. And, you know, the reason why we do this podcast for sure is because there are people out there, there's dreamers, there are people who've had broken hoop dreams. You know, I think about what you said, becoming a manager for the basketball team. You know, I mean, I remember being in high school and seeing guys doing that and people laughing. But now I'm looking, I'm like, yo, that's probably the best path that you could take to still be involved in the game, right?
Very unsexy. Not
very unsexy.
Yeah.
What was that like for you, man? Because, I mean, you're still around players, coaches, you're around the game, but you're more of is it like a servant leadership type situation? What was that like for you?
Of course, I took it as a learning experience. I took it as a time where I get to be in on this meeting and they're talking about X's and O's. I get to hear the different aspects of the game. I get to see leadership from a coaching viewpoint. I get to deal with the different softwares that are needed to run a basketball team. I see what social media does behind the scenes and how they are trying to best put their athletes on the forefront. And so just seeing it from different angles at the college level really gave me insight into what I do now. And now I am able to use that experience and have it a landing board and somewhere that I can go draw back to as something that was really impactful.
Yeah. I have a younger brother who likes sports, and I told him, I was like, look, man, you can't play. You got to get involved in a different way, which is go be a manager. I feel like that's the best way. You get to see everything, right? You build relationships. You get to travel with the team. And like you said, the X's and O's, the analytics, and you get to see it all, you know? Now, for you, Pops, I want to talk about something. You being a president. That responsibility, I have no idea about. You know, so from a day-to-day, what is that like for you?
Well, I mean, in the G League, there's a lot more managing up than anything else. You know, when I was GM, I handled a lot more day-to-day stuff, but we have a GM there who, you know, tackles all of that kind of stuff. And obviously it's a developmental component to it from everybody from our managers all the way up to myself. So, you know, we, you know, allow him to grow, allow him to develop and learn too. Obviously, my experience and, you know, my presence is leaned on or utilized in this regard too. But for me, it's, you know, I do a lot with the Knicks in regards to scouting and whatnot. But it's just more using my experience from being a journeyman.
Yeah.
Playing in the G League, having played in the NBA. I've started, I've been cut, I've been a featured player, I've been a guy that was in the suit the whole time. So all of those experiences allowed me to become a better executive. So whenever those challenges or issues arise, I challenge myself and, you know, look at it and approach it in the sense that how would you want your GM to handle that, or a GM that you would have wanted to play for handle that. So that's always been my approach. But to piggyback off of what Cam had said, I think it's important that kids or the younger generation understand what his willingness did for him.
Yes.
I read a book not too long ago, and what he did is called a coffee step. Coffee step is you're an intern and you're in these meetings and somebody asks you to go get coffee.
Yeah.
You don't waver. You don't have an issue. You just continue about your business and get that coffee every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to do it. Continue to get the coffee, the donuts, or whatnot. But you're in those rooms. You're in those meetings.
That's right.
And you're listening to those conversations.
Yeah.
Now, you're putting in the work on the side because you never know when your opportunity comes. Now, fast forward to, or rewind to when Golden State beat Cleveland Cavaliers in 2015.
15 years.
It was a video intern who just happened to be in a room that said, why don't we start Andre Iguodala?
Wow.
And have him guard LeBron. And Steve Kerr listened to it, and they won an NBA championship just based on that adjustment. So being in those rooms, one day someone's going to be like, hey, Cam, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And when they see that not only is this kid intelligent, but he's put in the work, and what he said is profound, now when it's time for a position to come open, they're not going to look no further. We've got our person.
In-house.
So you always have to be willing to go above and beyond to get to your goal.
Being
so
around before the opportunity arises, right?
Yeah,
of course.
Then the same thing. I mean, for you, Cam, what does a day-to-day look like for you? You know, like, I mean, I mean, Jerry Maguire is all we know. You know what I'm saying? or you know, people think about Rich Paul and all that, but.
Yes, I've been with Disruptive for 2 years now, that is including my intern period as well. But no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
Every day is a new challenge. Every day brings a new phone call that you may have to answer, and that phone call may have you doing something that you didn't expect to be doing that day. You maybe schedule your day a certain way, and things just go different than how you've had it planned. But it could be anything from reaching out to marketing brands to try to get deals for our current clients. It could be reaching out to a family of a prospective client or a player and trying to build that rapport or relationship with that player. It could be reaching out to executives and trying to make sure that we have a relationship so that I can service my client in the future when, hey, where do you have him on your board? Is this someone that you guys are looking at as a player? What does he need to improve on so that he can be on your board moving forward? So it's really trying to network as much as possible, because I think that your network is what can help best service the client. And so if I can build a strong, tight-knit network, then I can be the best agent possible.
No, that's it's funny that you said that, because that was going to be the next point that I wanted us to touch on was relationship building. Because I truly believe that that's what gets us where we all want to be, right? Is meeting people, doing well by them, serving. What was it like for you guys? You know, you talked about networking in the room and somebody noticing. But was it hard for you to network? Was it hard for you to build relationship? Or was it like a desire that you always had? Did it come naturally? And I ask that because there are, you know, guys and gals out there who are like, man, I want to be involved in the sport, but I just don't know how to approach someone. Do I send an email? Do I just show up? Like, what do I do?
Got to get out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
Got to take yourself out of your comfort zone. But especially as a former player, you know, you see us in between the lines. They don't really you don't often get to engage with a lot of people in that regard. And luckily for me, I grew up with 4 or 5 other siblings. And so being able to network, engage, have a conversation, and, you know, even have small talk. But still be engaging in doing so. I think it comes naturally to me, luckily. And, you know, I know a lot of guys struggle with it, and I often tell them, you have to be comfortable going up to somebody cold and introducing yourself. You have to be comfortable speaking with confidence.
That's right.
You know, even though, you know, on the court, they could have been a 10-time All-Star and, you know, accomplished all these things in the NBA, but they get in front of somebody and they're nervous. You know, so I was, you know, and it's the empowerment. It's the empowerment of pouring into players and into yourself to understand that, you know, I can do this.
That's right.
I can do this. So, you know, just having that confidence is something that you can acquire. It could take time and, you know, getting out of your comfort zone, but the ability to be present also. When I'm having a conversation with you, I'm engaging with you, we're speaking, but I'm not anywhere else. I'm here talking to you.
That's right.
That goes a long way with executives. It goes a long way with, people who once probably used to look up to you or revere you. If they see that, oh, he's got a personality. We know that he did this on the court. Now let's see if he can apply that in this sentence. So it's just, and again, they often look at athletes negatively in that regard.
Yeah.
So again, I always feel like and I put this pressure, if you want to call it, is self-imposed. I always say I want to blaze this trail. Being from Africa too, I feel like where I have to continually provide those mirror images for me, because when I was younger, I saw Akeem Olajuwon, I saw Dikembe Mutombo. I grew up with Luau Deng. So seeing players like this having that impact pushes me and inspires me to want to do so too. So it's all about what your end goal is, and that's the why. So I take myself out of my comfort zone. It's bigger than me, and I just overcome with that in mind.
So pretty much what you're saying is that we got to be outside.
Got to be outside.
Got to be outside.
Comfortable doing it too.
Nah, you got to.
Doing it.
All types of weather, and for anybody who's like all the viewers right now that are watching, like, you have to remember that when you step in the room, you introduce yourself to someone, you have to also think about, how can I help this person, right? Build a relationship, genuine relationship, like you said. Be of service, like you said. Even if you got to go grab that cup of coffee well. You know what I'm saying? Make an impact while you're grabbing that cup of coffee, but adding that value, because then people see that thing that's special about you, right? Mm-hmm. So it could be that the way that you just say hello. It might be the way that you speak to others in the room. Like I love what people say a lot of times regarding to like treating the CEO great, but treating the janitor great as well, because you never know who may see that, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you guys make great points. Now,
you never know who the janitor may become either.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's facts too. I mean, we live in a world where literally a 24-year-old sports agent could just impact the world.
It's also about the journey, though.
Yeah.
The journey is always better than the destination.
That's right.
Whatever the grind is, is what's going to make that end goal special. Mm-hmm. Whatever you go through, I've had 15 operations in my life. When I played, just being able to walk and run and jump again went a lot further for me. So understanding that the negative things that you've had to go through to get here makes it all worthwhile.
That's right.
Sorry, I can't.
No, all good. I was just going to say that's why you always have to network sideways, not always network up, you always network down. When you look at different people, they really want to network up. Who's the GM? Who's the president? Who's Rich Paul? Let me talk to you. You got to network sideways and then also network down, because as you're saying, you don't know who the janitor is ever going to become. You don't know who someone in the same position as you can come. So in 5 years, we're looking at that person who was below you might be above you.
Yeah.
The person who's sideways with you may be able to help you in some capacity that you didn't expect 5 years prior.
Yeah, and a lot of times those unsung heroes, in a sense, know a lot about what's going on in the internal than somebody who just like, hey, like they have so much other things going on, but they speak to everybody. You know what I mean? So that's facts. I want to ask you this question that I think that our viewers are probably, dying to hear, is like, how do you get to where you're at? Like, what are the steps that you take? Even though we've been touching on it a little bit between y'all stories, but if you could give advice to a young man or woman that wants to become a sports agent, athlete or non-athlete, what are the steps that you would tell them to take?
The first step is always to kind of have the knowledge and obviously the passion for, one, helping athletes, and also the passion for basketball. If you want to be in this space, you got to be able to like basketball at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. Then it's starting to get the working knowledge of the collective bargaining agreement. So understanding how contracts work, understanding how the salary cap works, basketball-related income, or BRI, and how those numbers affect players' contracts. Mm-hmm. Understanding all these different aspects is the next step. And then once you kind of feel like you're ready for that, you apply for the test. You apply through NBPA, the National Basketball Players Association. On their website, you can apply, I believe it's through between September and December. Don't hold me exactly to those dates, but you apply. You're going to go through, they'll do a background check and everything, make sure you're all good. You pay a $1,500 fee, and then you take the test in January, February, March. It depends on when the NBPA wants to hold it. And it's typically done in person, COVID permitting. I did mine online, so I wasn't able to be in New York where they usually do the test, but it's usually in New York, and you're in a room full of a bunch of other agents, and you're able to pass or work with each other on kind of what the working knowledge you guys have and share notes a little bit before the test and kind of network. So I wish I would have had that experience going in, but that's kind of what you're able to do at the test. And then after that, it's kind of figuring out what your networking or recruiting plan will be moving forward and trying to get athletes. What's the value you bring to those players, and what do you see as the next steps, and whether you're either going independent, which means you're on your own, and you got to front all the money for dues, which are $2,500, yearly dues are $2,500, and registering in each state and registering with different schools, or you go the agency route. And if you're lucky enough to be in an agency, I would say the best way to start with the agency is to intern there first and try and get into that realm, whether it's getting coffee for them or doing these little projects and showing that you have the knowledge and you can add value in a future capacity. So that's kind of the key.
That's man, I love you gave the whole rundown, because people need this type of information. You know what I'm saying? Even when they can look it up, but it's good that you're sharing it, you know, and it's being heard from a sports agent. Pops, now we talked about your path too, but for someone who didn't have NBA experience.
I'm glad you said that.
You know, someone who didn't have NBA experience, but they want to be involved with the team from the front office side, being executive. What is your advice or path that you would share with a young man or woman that wants to be involved?
I think it's simple. Be passionate about it, first and foremost. Don't cut corners.
Okay.
And what is going to separate you from the rest of the pack? It's like, and it's Darwin's theory. You know, it's, for me, there's only been it's an arbitrary number, but it's about 5,000 players who have ever played in the NBA. You know, whenever you get to college, or camp, they always say, raise your hand if you want to go play in college. Raise your hand if you want to play in the NBA. And everybody raised their hand, yeah. And then they say, out of all 500 of you, maybe 1 of you will play, 10 of you will play professional basketball. 1 may go to the NBA. Wow. Everybody looks around and is like, he must be talking about me because I'm going.
Yeah.
But again, when it's similar. For me, when I was trying to, become a pro athlete and trying to get to the NBA, all I could do was work harder.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like was going to separate myself and prepare. Yeah. So I was preparing, I was working harder so that when that opportunity came, I was ready to produce.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what happened. And I think it's the same on this side of the game. Be well-versed in the CBA. If it's the front office you want to get into, evaluate talent. Don't just watch basketball, evaluate it.
Yeah.
And, see if you've got a different lens that, looking at a play, like everybody can see that LeBron James can do this, that, and the third.
Yeah. But
what else do you see in his game? What else do you see on the Golden State Warriors that says, let's start Andre Iguodala to guard LeBron? There's things there that you can do that can separate you.
Yeah.
And being okay with networking.
Yeah.
Okay with reaching out and following up. Genuine conversations and genuine follow-up. Because all it takes is one, just like the draft.
Yeah.
Or the prom. All it takes is one somebody to say yes. And once your foot is in the door, you're there.
You're there, and you're already ready, right? Pops, I do want you to also share with us, because I know that you're doing a lot when it comes to the game of basketball. You're a president now in the G League for the Knicks, but you also do other work. And I love that you're doing that, because it goes back to the business mind of things, of expanding the game, even to people who may not have all the resources, or let's say they may not have the alley-oop to a LeBron or whoever, or to go to a D1 school, whatever the case may be. So I would like for you to share with what you're doing in Ghana or just Africa, period.
Yeah, like I think I may have said this prior too. I was only one of 2 players of Ghanaian descent to ever play in the NBA.
Yeah.
So immediately once I got to the league, I felt like I was carrying the weight of not only my family, not only a country, but a continent too.
Yeah.
I always just carry that self-imposed, like I said, but I've always felt like it's been my social responsibility to give back. I was blessed to become an NBA player and play, professionally for over a decade. Now I'm an executive and been blessed in that sense too. But what's the point of having knowledge or experience if you can't share it?
That's right.
And so for me, doing my camp and the academy I'm building in Ghana too is my way to pay it forward and give back because somebody poured into me at a young age and allowed me to become who I am today. And I felt like it's only right that I do it. And it's my social responsibility. So when I wake up, I feel it's not a burden.
Yeah.
It's purpose.
That's right.
That's my purpose.
Yeah.
And so that's what pushes me to not have the narrative be that Pops Mensah-Bonsu was the last Ghanaian to play in the NBA.
Yeah.
And it's not, obviously I'm talking about the NBA and it's not just about that, but having success through the game.
Yeah.
Providing the infrastructure and resources to, countries that may not have it, like Ghana. And me being the figurehead when it comes to basketball, I have to lead that charge.
That's right.
And, they are part of my why. Mm-hmm. So when it's difficult to raise money and go above and beyond to get this done, I revert back to why exactly I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And seeing a kid who came to my camp in 2019 and I asked her when she fell in love with basketball and she said today.
Wow.
And it's
wow. That's big impact right there.
It touched me. And that's when I knew I was like, you got to keep going. You got to keep going and providing that resources because you literally just changed somebody's life.
Wow.
And so that's the impact that we have. And that's what keeps me going, for sure.
And that's beautiful, man. Mm-hmm. That hit right here to inspire someone to wanting to be involved in the game because you introduce it to them from different spectrums. With that being said, though, I want to thank you guys for being here, sitting down with me on League Biz. Also want to give a shout out to Here Kitty Kitty. I mean, come on, they provided the vibes, you know what I'm saying? This is fire, right? Relax.
They're going to provide food too.
So, shout out to Here Kitty Kitty, with Resorts World at Las Vegas. So, like I said, man, thank you guys so much, Pops.
Appreciate you, man.
My brother,
always.
I appreciate you. Cam, it was a pleasure. So to all our viewers, thank you so much. I'm Dennis Boateng, and this is League Biz. Peace.